Good evening, everybody. Not good morning. Sam here, United People's TV. It's Tuesday, the 16th of May. AC Milan currently taking on Inter Milan in the Champions League semi-final. But the big story and talking point tonight is that there has been a final take it or leave it offer. That's what it's been reported as from Mike Keegan, from Matt Dickinson from The Times, Matt Lawton as well. The Qataris are coming with that final bid. If anybody graced their ears with the interview I had with Ben Jacobs today and what was being reported all this week, really, the Qatari bid was expected and it's now come in. What I'm going to do in this video is run through both of the articles from Mike Keegan and from Matt Lawton. We're going to run through all the details. What is this third bid? How much bigger is it than the first one? Who's now leading the race? I'm going to try and cover it all for you, make it as easy as I possibly can. If you want to get involved in the comments. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Hey, who's here? There's no point. There's no point. Let's get straight into it. Let's waste absolutely no time. As I said in the interview I covered with Ben Jacobs earlier, Ben was pretty convinced that the offer was going to come in. That was reported from, I believe it was Mike Keegan first of all on Saturday, after, of course, the brief came out that INEOS were leading the race, that INEOS were going to be the preferred bidder. Would the Qataris come in with a final bid? Yes, they will. And yes, they have. Let me run through the full articles for you now. Keep you bang up to date. All right. This is, let's go full screen. You don't need my face for this one. Right. Sheikh Jassim submits a final take it or leave it offer for Manchester United, with the Qatari billionaire hoping to see off competition from Sir Jim Ratcliffe with what is being described there as an extraordinary 11th hour bid. Now, the first thing to say about this bid is, of course, we don't know the numbers. All right. So that's one thing you're all going to be asking in the comments. How much is this worth, Sam? There's rough estimations. It's certainly a bigger bid than what it was before. Obviously, that's kind of how it goes. But this is not, because the final round happened, what was it, 2 and a bit weeks ago? This is just, it's not a verbal confirmation, but it's not something that's gone through the same sort of stringent process as last time. It's just coming. It's the Qatar. It's what I've said all along, right? Where is this Qatari pot of gold, if you want, for want of a better description, for want of a better way to describe it there? We've always heard that they've got the most money. Time to put it on the table. If you really want to buy Manchester United, let's read through the article. The Qatari billionaire who wants to buy United has made an extraordinary 11th hour take it or leave it offer for the club. Mail Sport understands that in a seismic development, they love big exaggerating words, Sheikh Jassim has submitted a final improved bid in an attempt to see off Jim Ratcliffe. There have already been 3 rounds of bidding. We know that full well. It appeared that Ratcliffe was in a stronger position. While his offer was not for 100%, it did value United higher than Qatari bid. Let's see, we'll go down there, a bit more details about the bid, please. Amidst all the bloody, jeez, my God. Here we go. It was hoped that a preferred bidder would be chosen last week, with the clock ticking to the opening of the transfer window, and United squad in need of strengthening. But talks have been ongoing, and earlier today, Sheikh Jassim made a further move in a last-ditch attempt to seize control of Manchester United. The Qatari's offer is believed to be significantly improved on his first, although this is a very interesting point here, although it is still thought to value United at a lower price than Jim Ratcliffe's offer. However, Sheikh Jassim's bid is for total control, with the fee to be paid now. It would instantly clear the club's debt, which at the last count was 536 million. The offer also contains the promise of significant investment in both the playing squad and the upgrade or rebuild of Old Trafford. So that's the big news here. Let's try and highlight that. Let's see if we can do that without this ruining it. There we go. This is the main story. It's still less than the INEOS bid. That's an interesting one. We'll speak about that in a little bit of detail. I'm going to go over here now. I'm going to go to the Times article and see what Matt Lawton and Matt Dickinson are reporting on this exact same situation. Qataris make 11. They're all using that same terminology, 11th hour bid. Now, obviously, they are going to be getting this directly from, you would presume, right? Because Mike Keegan has been leading the way with the Qatari story. Remember, he was the first journalist to break the idea that they might come in with an actual bid to buy all of it. Jason down there saying, Ben said earlier that Sheikh Jassim would have to put in another improved bid, and that's exactly what he's done. It's, I suppose, what we all expected after what we read at the weekend about INEOS being the preferred bidders, and the response from the Qatari side was, no, hold on, we're still confident. Hold on. But at this whole time, the Qatari bid has been lower than the Ratcliffe bid, and we know full well which the Glazers are going to accept. The Glazers are going to accept the bid which makes them the most money. All right, I don't need to tell you that. You know that yourself. There's a couple of legends in the chat here. Look at that. Wow, Skyfox, haven't seen you in a while. And Brett Irish, you just gifted 5 memberships and 10 memberships. And look, there's going to be so many new faces here because I don't normally do evening streams, but you're going to see the gong coming out now. Look at that. Legends to all of you. I was working on the new software today for like 4 hours. It's going to be amazing when it comes out. Skyfox, you sent a super chat too. Let me read this out for you, sir. You're saying we want the Glazers out. We want the Glazers out. The only way that the Glazers are getting out immediately right now is a Qatari bid. We've spoken in at great length in a stream across the weekend about what this Jim Ratcliffe INEOS 3-year plan could look like. But let's run through this article here from the Times, and let's compare and see if there's anything written differently in this one compared to the Daily Mail one. The Qatari Sheikh, we know Sheikh Jassim, looking to buy Manchester United, has submitted a last-ditch offer to seize control of the Premier League club. While bidders were invited to submit their final offers to the New York bankers Rain Group last month, the Times understands that Sheikh Jassim made an improved final offer on Tuesday in an attempt to see off his main rival. By the end of last week, Ratcliffe and his team at INEOS had emerged as strong favourites to buy the club because of that deal. And this, of course, is a huge, huge point that revolves around all of this. We can talk about any sort of price we want, any sort of figure on a Qatari bid that we want. Ultimately, it still comes down to Avram and Joel deciding whether they want to keep their clause in Manchester United or whether they're happy with the payoff now. Everything that we've seen and read so far is that Joel and Avram don't want to go, don't want to leave. They want to stay, which is why that bid from Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS was smart. I don't like it, but it was a smart business decision. It's giving them what they wanted and therefore getting an upper hand. But as has been reported in the Daily Mail, and I believe it's reported in the Times as well, the actual bid, there you go, look, even now, the new Qatari offer falls short of Ratcliffe's valuation, which could end up being close to $6 billion if he then completes the full purchase of the club in the next 2 to 4 years. It's part of a family squabble. On the one hand, you've got a bid which is still lower than Jim Ratcliffe's. So of everything that we've heard so far about the Qataris and their wealth and the money that can go in and everything they can do, they are still offering less than INEOS and Jim Ratcliffe, which is a big question mark, if you ask me. How much do they really want Manchester United? Well, not as much as getting a good deal. Of course, that's what happens in business anyway. But the two bids, the Qatari bid is where all 6 Glazers would get their payoff now and move on. And I'm sure that, was it Darcy, Edward, Kevin and Brian? I think that's the other 4. John down there, you're saying it's still lower, but it's cash, and that's the point, and that's where this squabble is going to exist. Imagine you're there, you've got like 5, you've got 5 siblings, right? There's 6 of you, I don't know. Some house you inherit, and then 2 of you want to hold on to the house because you know that you know what I'm trying to get at here. It's a family squabble. It's just what they're squabbling over is Manchester United. And you've got 4 Glazers that will be so happy to cash out right now with what the Qataris are coming in. And it's just been an improved bid. Will that be enough to sway Joel and Avram? That's what it is. Jarvis just saying, Sam, it's the biased Brit. Oh, man, everyone's going mad at this. The biased British press. No way their bid is smaller. I mean, it's been reported by everybody who's been reporting on this situation, Jarvis, since day one. So either they're all completely wrong or they're right. I mean, and I know people like to see. It's a bit of a weird thing to say that. I'll be honest. Spence, sadly, with the thank you for the super chat, dude. Sadly, with the valuation still being lower than the SJR bid, I don't see how this bid is even close to being accepted by the Glazers. Spence, it all comes down to it comes down to when the payoff, when they want the payoff. Ultimately, we know full well that Abraham and Joel, I don't think they're wrong in that Manchester United in 5 years, 10 years time could probably be worth double. It probably could be worth double. But they don't want to invest the money to realize that. But they want the value of it now. Quite a few of you down here in the comments, you're getting angry saying, how do they know that it's, how do they know how much is being bid? How do they know? How do they know? How do they know? Okay, right, fair enough. You can sit like that. You can sit on the fence and we can cover what's been reported and what has been consistently reported across multiple papers. That's what I'm doing here. I'm bringing you the news. I'm trying. Look, sometimes it's not easy to keep your opinion out of it, and I've got my opinions, and I've had my opinions about this whole situation. Something that Ben has reported straight after as well is this is an interesting point that we need to discuss. Just reiterating that he's being told the same thing, that the Qatari bid has gone in, but interestingly enough, it will clear all debt and includes what's being described by sources as a separate pledged investment close to £1 billion directed solely at the club and community. So that would mean that if this bid for Manchester United is a little bit less than INEOS's, it's got that pledged investment on top of it. A separate pledged investment, which has always been a bit of a concern and a question around the actual bid structure. Is it 5 billion, but is that inclusive of how much money they put into the stadium and XYZ? Ben is saying that stadium and community investment close to 1 billion is actually on top of what their offer is. So if their offer, hypothetically, their offer is 5.5 billion, you're looking at it actually being 6.5 billion overall. The Glazers wouldn't get any of that. That's how much money they'd be putting into Manchester United. Graham with a comment which belongs in 2016. Believe it when Sky Sports News report it. Man, Sky Sports News, they were the kings back in the day, but they are so crap these days. They have lost their touch completely. You let me know what you think about this all in the comments, ladies and gents, right? I'll pull this up here. I'm just interested to know what the community thinks, what you all think. I've got my points of view. But the breaking news here tonight, and scroll back up here, is that Sheikh Jassim has gone in with a final bid. Reported there by the Times and the Daily Mail. They have submitted a final bid. They obviously realized that their bids were too low. They realized that those stories that came out on Friday and Saturday about INEOS being the preferred bidder may have been slightly premature, but clearly they were leading the race, which has led to this situation. Super chat there flying in from Ibrahim. Thank you very much, dude. You're saying, hi, Sam. I don't think the Glazers care about the club pledges. All they want is as much cash as possible. They don't, dude. Because the Glazers don't make any money out of those pledges. They don't care if you pledge £1 or 1.5 billion pounds. It doesn't change what's going into their pocket. Therefore, it's not a priority. So, you know, if you compare the original statements that came out from the 9-2 Foundation, where they pledged into money into the community, money into the men's teams, the women's teams, the academy teams, and the INEOS one didn't say. I think they said they wanted to put the Manchester back into Manchester United, something like that. It's a bit weird. Stephen Berry saying, still think we should have made the United People's TV bid. Jeez, that'd be a lot of gifted memberships to make that happen. Manny, you're saying that let's go on Facebook. What are you saying there, sir? The Glazers want to stay in charge. That's why they prefer INEOS's bid. What I would say about that, Manny, is when it comes to let's pull a picture up of this man here. Right? Let's pull this up. And this is something that I spoke about in detail at the weekend. Okay. If the INEOS bid is successful, hypothetical, if the INEOS bid is successful, there's absolutely no way that INEOS allows the Glazers to maintain control. Could they allow the Glazers to maintain a stakeholder in Manchester United? Yes. But would that mean control? Hell, I would be absolutely staggered. Absolutely staggered if INEOS bought Manchester United and they allowed the Glazers to retain all their power of voting. You're mad. There's no way that happens. But in this current structure, there's it doesn't work. There's that's something I said to Ben in our interview this afternoon. I said the two bids, like if the Qatari bid, right, which has now gone into that 11th hour final, take it or leave it. Well, I thought that was the last bid, but no, they really have been sort of pushed into offering a bit more. There's just, it's a far simpler take. It's a full takeover, 100%, including the 31% on the public market, which is a little bit that does make it more difficult because there's no guarantees of that. But pretty sure that if the Glazers do accept the offer, hypothetical here, if the Glazers did accept that offer, then everybody on the stock exchange everybody with the publicly traded shares would also be accepting that offer because it's going to be a massive bump up on whatever the actual price is. And I think Manchester United's share price currently, so look, I think it's around $20. Man United share price. Currently $19. Yeah, that's dropped quite a bit. Apparently Fabrizio Romano's coming in. Let's see what he's saying. Anybody, if there's breaking news anywhere else, you can let me know what you think about it all. Right, there you go. This is what Fabrizio's saying. Oh, 1 second there. My screen just went black. There you go. Sheikh Jassim has now made another increased bid. As always, it's for 100% of Manchester United. Will clear all the debt and includes a separate fund directed solely at the club and community, which is exactly what we just covered there from Ben Jacobs. So they've got the same source. It's just that Ben was there a little bit faster. Sources guarantee this is a significant increase over the initial proposal. It might be a significant increase, but as has been reported by the Times and the Daily Mail, they're saying that the bid still falls short of Jim Ratcliffe's valuation. Now, of course, you're going to have to take into account the fact that Jim Ratcliffe's valuation would only be for 50% of Manchester United, and then in X amount of somewhere between 1 and 3 years, it would be them buying them out, and those two combined would equal somewhere in the region up to close to 6 billion. They're saying, depending on what the value of the club. But of course, if the value of the club has increased in a few years' time, then it's a little bit. I haven't even thought about that. Yeah. What are you saying down here in the comments? Peter, you're saying, I think Ratcliffe has been used as a decoy to squeeze a little bit more cash out of Al Thani. Peter, there was a phrase that Ben used in our interview today. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a stalking horse, I think he called it. And there's always been questions as to whether the INEOS were being used in that sense. Because what? Okay, I'm asking you, not asking you on your sort of your interpretation of the news and anything there. Ibrahim, you just asked me the question, and I'm going to ask everybody down here. And this is what I want to read down in the comments. What is your gut feeling on all of this now? Right, we've had to sit here and watch it, and we've tried our best, I think, to try to interpret all the news that's been developing and constantly developing. What's your gut feeling at this point? Because it can't go from this point here. It can't go any further without the Glazers making a choice. 3 choices, which have always been the 3 choices, but it's at the point now where they have to make the choice. They're standing at the top of the slide and they can't turn around. They've got to go down one of these 3 slides. It's either they accept the Qatari bid, they accept the INEOS bid, or they say, we've been lying all along. we're staying at the club. That one doesn't really mean. In fact, it's a good point there, Ibrahim. I'm going to make this into a poll. What is your gut feeling now? Your gut feel. I'm not asking what you want. Your gut feeling on what the Glazers will do. That's what I want you to answer. All right, let me put this. Accept Qatari bid. Accept INEOS bid. Pull out altogether. Pull out completely. That's what I'll put. 3 options. I'd like you to put your, as I said, not what you want to happen, what you genuinely think will happen at this point, with everything that's happened now to this stage, with everything that we've watched and witnessed, with all the news and changes and developments. What's your gut telling you will happen? I'll be interested to see what you think will actually happen in the comments. Damo, how you doing there, buddy? Thanks for super chat. He's saying, what if INEOS buys 4 out of 51%, leaving the gruesome twosome with 19%, but they buy out all the public shares? Finally, would be INEOS 51% and Glazers 49%. I mean, that's still INEOS in control. Whether it's 51%, whether it's, as long as you've got a majority, you're in control of decision making, of the decision making process of Manchester United. And there's absolutely no way that INEOS are going to buy the club for billions and invest billions into the club without having that control over decisions. Of course, having somebody alongside you that does have 20% of control would be a problem. And that's why I think that if INEOS were successful, right, if Jim Ratcliffe was successful, there's no way that the current share structure would still exist. It would have to go, which makes it a more complicated thing. I've said that a few times. If INEOS are successful, and they've now then got to buy out 4 of the Glazers whilst retaining 2 of the Glazers and changing the whole share structure, to me, it sounds like a more convoluted process. I might be wrong, but it seems like a far more convoluted process. And somebody coming along with literally cash. Like, what are your bank? Give me your sort code and your account number. Bang. There's 5.5 billion. Let's move on. With the INEOS deal, it would require a full restructure of the club share system. It just, I don't know. It just seems to me like it feels more convoluted. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but I'm saying it just feels more convoluted. Super chat there from Nathan. Let me read this one out and let me look at the poll results. Maybe the INEOS cash deal, later deal, is taking into account eventual appreciation of club value. That's what I mean. That's what just ran through my head there, Nathan. It's saying, well, if they're saying to the Glazers, of course, this is all speculation, but saying if they're saying to, right, okay, Abraham and Joel, in 5 years' time, we can buy you out for X amount because the club is worth X amount more. So technically, you would be paying the same amount, but because you waited 3 years, as the same amount as a percentage, because you waited 3 years, that's now worth a bit more. Don't know. Of course, we don't know this. Gypsy King, you're saying surely the investment companies involved would want to take a profit now. Well, I guarantee you, all 4 other Glazers are like, Abraham and Joel, can you stop being dicks? Can you just stop it for once in your life? Just take the money and go. Like, we've already made hundreds of million profit on the original money that was put into the club. What more could you want? I imagine that's the conversations that are happening behind the scenes because the other 4 want to get out. This is their big payday. As much as it sickens me to say it, this is their big payday. And Abraham and Joel are stopping them from getting it. Louis, you're saying if Jim is a preferred bidder, then why would the Glazers wait 2 weeks to decide? It doesn't make much sense. I think the Glazers want to milk as much money as possible on either sides. I mean, you know they're right. Yeah, I know you're right. They definitely want to milk as much money. They've always wanted to milk as much money as possible. That's always been the case. It's just that they've managed here to squeeze out a final bid from the Qatari side. So there really is nowhere to go now. There's no more games of poker and there's no more games of bluffing. There's no anything. It is decision time. One way or the other. Let me read this last super chat out and then I'll go down and look at the poll results so far. Matt, what are you saying? Thanks for super chat, buddy. If the Glazers accept the INEOS bid, I don't see them agreeing to sell their remaining shares when the time comes unless it's an increase on price now. Well, that's probably the single biggest question I have. I've got the video idea in my head that I want to do of all the questions that I would have if this INEOS bid went through. And then the big question I would have would be around the structure of this. Okay, so you say you're going to buy out the Glazers in 2-3 years' time. Is that like a legal obligation? Who can trigger that? What triggers it? What's the price of it? Who pays for it? Does it come? Does the money come out of Manchester United? There's so many questions I have about the structure of that. So many. Let me go down here and see what you're saying on the poll then. Right, so we have got 800 votes so far. By the way, there's only just under 400 of you like the video, and I'm sure there's so many new people that are joining in now because I don't normally do evening streams. I'm Sam. This is United People's TV. Genuinely, I like to think the most interactive United show out there. I'll be here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. as well, so make sure you subscribe and drop a like on the video if you do enjoy it, all right? But the poll results so far, just over 800 votes in 5 minutes, and 75% of you think that the Qatari bid will be accepted. That is a strong poll. Now, I don't know whether that's because you want as I said, I didn't want people to put in what they wanted to happen. It's like, what do they genuinely, their gut instinct is telling them will happen? And if that is the case, then 75% of you, your gut instinct is telling you that the Glazers are going to accept the Qatari bid. I don't know. I don't know, man. I really, really don't know. My gut is telling me that INEOS is going to win this. Because my gut is telling me that Joel and Avram and their desire to hold on to Manchester United has driven this to this point. Of course, money changes everything. With the Glazers, money is the be-all and end-all. So if that bid is high enough from the Qataris, maybe that is the end game for them. Maybe that is the end game. Danny, you're saying, Sam, if you could choose any person in the world to be the new owner, who would it be? I don't know. I don't know. Is there a perfect owner? I've described this situation as like, you know, choose your devil. There isn't. I don't know whether a perfect owner exists in football. I really, really don't. Sean, you're saying, I really believe that we are being sent down the river. The Glazers want nothing more than thank you to screw us over for $1 more. Like, so I think the way I described it at the very beginning, Sean, was that if the Glazers were standing there and the devil was standing in front of them and Jesus was standing in front of them and the devil was offering $1 more, they would just sell to the devil simply because they got an extra $1. They wouldn't care about the custodian of Manchester United and passing Manchester United on to the right people. They would pass it on to whoever gives them the most money. That's all they cared about. Ben said, I don't know why that comment tickled me. Your gut said that we were going to sign Frankie. You were miles away with that. Yeah. I was spectacularly wrong with it. My gut on Frankie was I think I was trying to say that there was, just because he's not saying that he wants to, just because he says he wants to stay at Barca doesn't mean that he won't join Manchester United. Jeez, let's not take it back to that. That was terrible that summer. Well, that just particularly that point. I'm trying to talk about a takeover here, taking me back to some terrible times. Right, there's more questions down here. Allergy to bullets. You're saying, didn't the Qatar bid offer big events in Qatar for the Glazers to make more money? Yeah, I remember reading that quite a while ago. That was about, I don't know. What was it? What was it? Was it something to a cricket? Because I know everyone Glazers just bought a cricket team, didn't they? Can't remember which one. What else are you saying down here? King's saying, do we need a perfect owner? What happened to the Glazers just leaving? King, what we do need is the ability to spend our own money. That's all we've ever needed. Really is all we've ever needed as a football club. We have not won the. I don't need to run through the numbers with you, man. But look, we haven't won the league since 2013. We haven't won the Champions League since 2008. Yet still, we've got like the 4th biggest revenues in world football. We are still one of the 3 biggest clubs in world football. And we've been crap for ages. That's how big Manchester United is. We need the ability to spend our own money. We need the debt wiped off. We need to be self-sustainable. What we can't afford without new ownership is new infrastructure. It's because the Glazers have run us into the ground. And now that's not possible without new owners and new investment. Is the full and that's probably why, look, all of this that has happened over these last few months, and we only ever got two people really interested in buying Manchester United, the Qataris and Jim Ratcliffe. It goes to show the scale of investment that's required, because it will be the size of it that puts so many other people off. What we're saying down here, Ewald saying, have you ever thought of releasing the audio of live shows as podcasts? I do a podcast this week. I'll be honest, I've had a mare with work the last couple of days. I've been working far too much. So there's no podcast this week after the game against Wolves at the weekend. There'll be a podcast after Bournemouth. Could technically put this out as a podcast, but it's because it's so interactive. I'm not sure it would be as good to listen to. Podcast is proper podcast. And you're saying spending our own money is all well and good. I don't think it will make us competitive. I've just explained all that. And Kyle, you've sent in a super chat. Let me read this out for you, sir. Thank you very much, dude. Isn't a buyout for a higher price in 3 years' time just the equivalent of a really expensive loan, more debt? I've said there, again, but I can only speculate on that, Kyle. We don't know the structure of that, but the idea of it, you go, I'd have questions about it. I'd have lots of questions about the INEOS structure of that bid. Lee is saying the conversation is getting frustrated. I generally think we wouldn't be run any better under SJR. We need what the Qataris are offering, and that's investing the whole lot. Club training for local community, surrounding area. Qataris will do this straight away. SJR will do this over 10 to 15 years. I mean, they won't do it over 10 to 15 years, Lee. It's not possible. It's not possible. They will come in and do it straight away. The level of the investment, where that finance comes from, of course, that will be totally different between the two bids. One will be cash and one will be financed. And if it was any other anybody else coming in and trying to buy Manchester United, apart from a Qatari-backed bid, it would all be financed. No one's got that much cash in the bank apart from those. Sue, how you doing? It's like choosing between a poke in the eye with a stick or taking a punch in the stomach. I mean, you're definitely taking a punch in the stomach, aren't you? That's quite an easy win. Don't know. What are you doing? Let in the comments, anybody. You taking the poke? You poking the stick? Nah, you're definitely taking it. But I get what you mean, Sue. That's what I mean. It's like choosing between your devil. It's that there is no perfect solution. People have tried to use that description that I had of Jim Ratcliffe earlier in this whole process when I called him the Disney owner. And yeah, maybe if you're, I don't know, what Disney film would he be? He's certainly not a knight in shining armor. It's this whole situation, man, has been quite exhausting. Really has. I'm sure it's been equally as exhausting for you as it has been for me to cover it. And we're at the end game now. With that bid that's gone in, we're at the end game. There is nowhere for the Glazers to turn now. No, they can't squeeze anything more out. There's no extra Qatari bid coming after this. INEOS are not going to turn around and sort of add a couple of zeros onto the end of theirs. They have to make a decision. They have to. And judging by this poll down here, we've got 1,500 votes. Look at that, 1,500 votes in 15 minutes. Wicked. I love this community, man. So engaged. And 80% of you think that the Glazers will accept the Qatari bid. My gut instinct is telling me it's going to be the INEOS bid because it allows Avram and Joel to retain their stakes, and they clearly just don't want to sell. That's what my gut instinct is telling me. As somebody pointed out, my gut instinct is never always. It's just what a gut instinct is. I'm not basing that on anything. It's just I'm basing that on everything that's happened and my interpretation of it. And it may well be completely and utterly wrong. Skyfox, how you doing, man? Thank you very much for the support, dude. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McEnany. Jeez, I haven't watched that video on how to pronounce his name and I still can't get it. Rob McElhenney. I'm going to go Rob McElhenney. There you go. I mean, they've nailed it at Wrexham. They really, really have. Tom, How you doing, buddy? Thank you very much. You're saying there has to be something in the fact he's bid again. Why risk a very public failure on bidding again and still losing? He has to have had assurances. I think that's a fair point from Tom. And I think it's kind of this whole way through, right, Tom? It's been the case that the Qataris have reiterated time and time again. We're confident. We're confident. We've got confidence that our bid's the best. We're confident. We're confident. We're confident. And then this bid went in. So you're right. If this was to fail at this point now, then it won't reflect well on the Qataris, will it? Remember, this is what Fabrizio Romano said in the situation. Sheikh Jassim's made that increased bid. As always, it's for 100% of Manchester United. Will clear all that debt and all of that on top of that. The separate fund directed solely at the club and community, which of course lights up your eyes with the idea of it. Another billion going there. That's exactly what Ben Jacobs said. A separate pledged investment, near enough $1 billion to go on top of that. Ben, you're asking any idea on what the bid's worth? There's no, not particularly. But all we're seeing is this. The new Qatari offer, according to reports, is still lower than the INEOS and Sir Jim Ratcliffe offer. Still. When you take into account the idea that they're going to buy out 50% of the Glazers now, the 4, and they're going to buy out the other 2 in a few years' time, that together would equal more than what the Qataris have offered there. Let me see if anybody else is covering this before we wrap this up for tonight. Any more questions? Any more? I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to this? Cedric, you're saying this late bid ensures that the preferred bidder status is very close. It's something that me and Ben spoke about earlier, and we kind of maintain it this whole way through, really. Well, in the last few weeks, anyway. Once this bid gets accepted, you know, how much longer can they take? Because so much has been done. Ben coins the phrase transactionally backwards. Like all the hard work's been done. So once they actually choose the preferred bidder or go into that period of exclusivity, so much of that work's already done. So once you reach that point, it could and maybe will go quickly. But as I said, I've got queries about that because of the structure of the INEOS bid if they are successful. Jeff, you're saying, hi, Sam. Just curious, thinking, why did the British media know the value of Ratcliffe's bid, but not the Qatari bid? I think that's a fair question. I don't think they've ever said that they know exactly. Look, I think they keep doing this. Look at how they write it. A price nearer to 5 billion, end up close to 6 billion. I mean, that's quite... They've never really been particularly like nailed their colours to the mast of exactly how much a bid is. They've sort of gone near 5 billion, closer to 6 billion. I don't really know. Sam, you're saying Qatari bid all the way. And as I said, so many of you in the poll down there, let's have a look now. 1,700 votes and 80% of you still think that the Qatari bid will be winning. JVD, my Don, how you doing, man? You've come in here. Join the late stream. Is that a thing? Just call it there. You're getting a gong. You're getting a gong, my man. One absolute ledge. Sigmund, you're saying just happy at this point that it's nearly over. I wish I could say that it's nearly over. I don't know when the end game is. Right. Let's go through this. I'm going to run through the BBC's update. This is coming from Simon Stone, all right? So we've covered Fabrizio Romano. We've covered Matt Lawton and Matt Dickinson from the Times. We've covered Sheikh Jassim. We've covered Mike Keegan. Let's cover here what the BBC is saying as a final update here. This was released 4 minutes ago, all right? See what he says. The Qatari banker and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's INEOS group are the 2 main parties looking to buy Old Trafford. There you go. And Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani has made an improved offer. Both groups submitted third bids at the end of April. Sheikh Jassim submitted a fresh bid on Tuesday morning amid further talks involving the Rain Group. The bid is for 100% of the club, will clear United's debt and include a separate fund directed solely at the club and local community. So it's clear that all of these journalists, Ben, Fabrizio, Simon Stone, they've got the exact same brief. The exact same message has come through. The bid's gone in. It's for 100% of the club. It includes another separate pledge to the club and community. And there you go. Figures in March show United. Look at that. There's nearly $1 billion worth of debt. Glazer it now. Although there has been no response from the Glazer family since the last bid deadline on 28th of April, there has been an increasing confidence in the INEOS camp that their efforts to buy United would be successful. It is understood one of Ratcliffe's suggestions, we know that, has been to lower the amount of United he wanted to buy from an initial 69% to 50%, which would allow Joel and Avram to stay at the club. There has been no indication when the Glazer family will make a decision over the future direction of United. It had been felt an announcement would come this week, given the transfer window opens in less than a month. However, there is no guarantee it would happen. Nothing new in there from the BBC, right? All goes back to that. And that is the main story, the breaking news here tonight. I'm glad that we got... I enjoy doing evening streams because there's a new audience here that joins in. It doesn't normally get to be part of the United People's TV community. So I hope you'll jump on board. Last 2 minutes of the show, I'll open the floor. Any questions you've got related to the bid, any questions you've got about anything to do with the takeover, you fire them in, and I'll try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. What I will say quickly is thank you, everyone, for joining in, as you always do. If you haven't, by the way, we do a monthly raffle giveaway. Well, not a giveaway, a monthly raffle here on United People's TV. This prize this month is 500 quid cash, just straight cash. It's only £1 per ticket. So if you can follow the link down there, I'll drop it in the description for you here. Last month, we gave away an Xbox Series X bundle. The month before, we gave away a PS5. This month, we're giving away 500 quid cash. And then next month, it's going to be something even bigger and better. Ainsley, you're saying, how can we fans pressurize the Glazers to sell to the Qataris? Dude, there's nothing we can do apart from what we've done. They will do what they want to do. They always have. They are the most thick-skinned owners in the world. They do not give a crap about what anybody thinks about them. They really, really don't. Why would the Qataris send their bid if their meeting at the hotel was unsuccessful? Sean, I spoke about that with Ben. So if Avram Glazer is going to meet Sheikh Jassim or somebody from that bid to organize a new bid, they're not going to do it in one of his dad's hotels. Come on. They're not going to do that. Neil's saying, why is the INEOS bid never discounted? As money in 3 to 4 years is significantly worth less than money today. Well, it depends on what happens with inflation, but the way inflation's going, yeah, you're completely right there. Brian, you're saying, hopefully this is over in the next 1.5 weeks and we can get a productive summer under the way. I mean, I hope so, man. I really, really hope so. Andre, you're saying, Sam, would you take 1 billion now and keep them in the bank to make more, or take installments over 3 to 4 years? I mean, personally, I'm just taking 1 billion. If you're offering me 1 billion, I'm taking 1 billion. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just going to spend it. I'm buying a jet. I'm buying an island. Probably 2 jets. Why not? I've got 1 billion. Alex, you're saying, has the INEOS bid said anything about funds for player recruitment? The INEOS bid hasn't really gone any further than putting, I think they were talking about being custodians of the club, putting Manchester back in Manchester United Football Club. They haven't really gone any further than that with their statement. No, they never did. Miguel saying, will you ever do travel vlogs at United games you go to? Mate, have a look back in the day. I used to do quite a few. My favorite one was Sevilla, obviously. I used to do it. It's not my vibe. It's not my style. I don't enjoy it. If I go to the game, I like to have a few drinks. I like to speak to my pals. I like to watch the footy. I'm not very good at... I don't know. I'm just not very good at it. If I go to the game, I just want to be a fan. Uru, Fred, you're saying, how long do you think the process will take? What is it? 15th, 16th of May now? The first deadline we got was the 31st of March, wasn't it? That didn't work out. I'd like to think that it's going to be... I'd love there to be a decision by the end of the season. Fuck me, there has to happen. This summer is affected by this. Ten Hag has had to deal with some serious stuff in his first year and a bit in charge. And his takeover is part of it, because this summer is definitely going to be affected by what is going on. You're saying, Sam, if you repeat your gut instinct as for FDJ, then Qataris win it for sure. Yeah, don't always trust my gut. It's definitely not always right. That's for sure. Pratik, thank you for your super chat, dude. Do you think the Glazers might opt for Qatar improved bid based on the fact they're getting instant cash? That's what this bid could change. They may have had a figure in their head where they go, you know what? If there was a bid that was X amount, we'd just cash in our chips now. And maybe that amount has now been reached. That could be the difference maker. And we'll find out over the next 2 weeks whether that is the case. A final super chat there from Nathan saying, oh, mate, thank you very much, dude. Get a pint in. You're all legends, man. You're all legends. I love this community. I'm glad we got to do a late evening stream because, yeah, it's a bit of a different vibe here in the evening. Make sure you jump in tomorrow morning. I hope you enjoyed the interview that I had with Ben earlier. Pretty much everything that's happened, we spoke about in detail, and it's kind of the second time. Ben, I know people like to question journalists. It's very difficult. It really is. Knowing that's why you have to trust your sources, is because sources exist. You have to trust who's giving you the right information, the wrong information. I'll be here tomorrow morning. We've ran through the full story there. There has been a final take it or leave it offer from the Qataris. Will the Glazers take it? Will the Glazers leave it? Well, we're going to find out over the next couple of weeks. We need a bit of Barry.
We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway.
Yes. Barry makes everyone feel better. Right. I'm going to go and watch the end of the Champions League now. Take it easy, everyone.